And could this meeting help in ending the Russia-Ukraine war? Joining us now to decode the meeting is Singh, former ambassador and strategic affairs expert. Ambassador Singh, always a pleasure to have you here on CNBC TV18. Let me begin by straight away asking you about Trump's post on India on Truth Social. What a coincidence. On a day we saw Russia, India, China having that very interesting meeting in the Leaders' Lounge in Tianjin, and later having that very long 2-hour meeting with Putin, you have a post like this from Donald Trump. Yes, he criticized India, saying the trade relationship is a one-sided disaster. But one line that I found interesting, and I'd like to get your view on this, is he's saying India has now offered to cut their tariffs to nothing, but it's getting late. They should have done this years ago. How do you read Trump's post?
Look, you can never take Trump literally because he's always talking in a fact-free manner. His facts are always suspicious or distorted. Now, even in this statement, if you look at it, he's just taken up commodity trade between India and US. And there also the imbalance is about $45 billion. What he's ignored is that in the services sector in 2024, US exported $42.6 billion worth compared to India's $42.1 billion. So they had 41.4. There's a gap of about $200 million. US has a surplus in services. And you're also not counting the defense purchases of India. What is $45 billion when they have a trade imbalance of about $1 trillion with the rest of the world? So I think he's just picking on India. I don't think facts are important. I don't even know what part of what went on in Tianjin he's aware of, because he really gets his news from the television, and he would have got up in the morning and probably not even seen all of it. But there are three dimensions to what happened in Tianjin. One are the public statements. Second are verbally the conversations that are going on. And third are the optics. I think optics are very, very important because Trump himself uses optics to exert pressure on other countries. And I think India was paying him back. Therefore, it's important that Prime Minister Modi and President Putin sat in Putin's car and talked. That is, in fact, it makes sense because probably they were keeping the Chinese eyes and ears away from it. There was no other reason for them to be sitting in the car and talking 50 minutes, because that's what New York Times is saying, that they talked for almost 50 minutes in the car. And then when they came out, they go and then grab the hand of Xi. It's all tremendous optics. You're conveying to President Trump that you have pushed India into this corner, and now India will play the game as India has played from 1947. Multi-alignment, non-aligned. We will deal with whoever is friendly and wants to deal with us. And it is Trump that is responsible for this. And I think that commentary is already starting in America. That 25 years of good work done after the India's nuclear test in 98 has been neutralized by Trump in just 6 months. And once the distrust, with great difficulty, trust had developed between India and the US. And now we are seeing that trust has been demolished. And for it to rebuild is going to take years and decades and probably another US president. So India has played the cards that India was dealt. And I think they've been well played in the sense that you have to deal with it. Doesn't mean that we're going to have absolute normalcy with China, right? Because the border issue is outstanding. And there is still tremendous amount of distrust. At the same time, you have to deal now with different countries. Some you are close to, some you can trust more, and some you can trust less. But you'll have to deal with them in this world of multi-alignment and a disrupted world where trade is disrupted, security arrangements are disrupted. And in this world, you'll be dealing on a country-by-country basis or on a regional group by regional group basis.
Ambassador Singh.
For instance, we've got Quad coming up.
Right.
India is going to be hosting the Quad.
Right. Ambassador Singh, the question that comes to my mind, after such high-level meetings, the Prime Minister met Xi Jinping for 1 hour yesterday, traveled with the Russian president in his limousine for 55 minutes, as you said, then had another hour-long meeting. So you spent 2 hours with President Putin. So one would have imagined that this could have possibly led to more retaliation, more action by the US. That has not happened. By saying that you have offered to bring down tariffs to zero, but it's getting late, is this a sign from Donald Trump that, come and talk to me now?
It's possible. With President Trump, anything is possible. Let's give him a little more time. He may not have got all the facts right. But very clearly, I think India has taken a position that they are not backing off. They will defend their agriculture and dairy markets. They will reduce the tariffs on some things. But it's not going to be zero. It can't be zero on our side and certain tariffs and across the board tariffs on the American side. Either it has to be commodity by commodity. But you can't have this kind of thing that India goes to zero and US is only down to 25, even if the punitive tariffs are taken off. That won't work. So I think this has to be left to the negotiators who are negotiating a trade deal. It'll have to be a fair deal. Only then it'll be acceptable to India as well as to America. But yes, let's give it a little more time. I'm not sure how much or what happened in Tianjin has been understood by President Trump by about tomorrow, because remember, they are about 10 hours behind us. So by the time he got up, everything had happened already in Tianjin. Though I believe he watches television till very late at night and does get up early. We don't know that. And there have been also question marks about his health, etc. So we don't know exactly how engaged he is with international news, or he's simply got some second-hand, third-hand report. And based on that, he's come out with that statement. Right. We will wait and see. But essentially, yes, that is a way to deal with Trump. That you essentially draw the red line and say, okay, now, what else? Beyond 50%, the tariffs don't work. He can make it 100% or 200%, because if we are not exporting at 50, we are not going to be exporting at 100 or 200. Those are just numbers. Right. Once it's gone beyond a certain level, the tariffs stop working as an instrument as a negotiating instrument.
You're right. In a way, Donald Trump had exhausted his leverage. What more could he have done? You put 50, after 50%, you make it 100%, it doesn't matter, because it's already a blockade, so to say. Now, coming very quickly to the takeaways from the meeting, sir. 45 minutes with the Russian president in his presidential limousine. Clearly, there was something that Putin would have wanted to communicate to the prime minister. What do you think would Putin in these circumstances may have wanted to convey? We were not there, of course, and probably these are things only for history books, and maybe we'll see this only in future sometime. But what's your sense as to why those 45 minutes are crucial?
I think it's, firstly, they wanted one-on-one without anyone, the Chinese or anyone else listening in. And that's why it was done in the car. Secondly, Prime Minister Modi did speak to Zelensky before he left for Tianjin. Now, I don't think Zelensky would have given him a negotiating card, which he can then go and play there. Zelensky would have taken a position which he has publicly taken, which is that, he cannot give up any land. And therefore, whatever has to be done on the basis of status quo. I don't think Prime Minister Modi will get into that mess and therefore involve himself with it. We have enough problems with America. He would have mentioned what Zelensky discussed with him. He would have listened to President Putin and left it at that. And otherwise, a public position has been that we want a peaceful and quick resolution of the problem. That itself, I don't think Prime Minister would have gone beyond that, because we don't like other countries to enter into our affairs. And that is the main grouse that Trump has, because he mediated between us and Pakistan. We can see a relationship has worsened on that basis. So we don't want anyone to mediate between us and Pakistan. I don't think PM will mediate between Ukraine and Putin. He would have listened to him. And if Putin wants something conveyed, it'll get conveyed. But essentially, it'll be bilaterals. He would have discussed the pressure that US is putting on us. He would have discussed what kind of that we will continue to buy oil, and how it can be handled and what are implications, and listen to Putin, and therefore indirectly convey to him that it is becoming difficult for his friends to continue to buy oil because the cost is going up, and therefore indirectly the implication will be, please end your war.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been there.
Absolutely. And finally, do you feel that this meeting could in some way help in ending the Russia-Ukraine war?
I'll be taking it a bit too far, but look at the irony of it. Uh, if tomorrow President Putin says that Prime Minister Modi helped me end the war, he'll have Trump jump off the top floor of the White House because he is mediating. He claims to have mediated between India and Pakistan and 10 other wars all over the world. And the most important war, which he said he will end in 24 hours, he couldn't end. And Prime Minister Modi is seen as facilitating the end of that. That'll be the ultimate embarrassment for President Trump.
All
So
right.
let's wait and see.
Okay. Probably we were getting too ahead of ourselves. But thank you so much, Ambassador Casey Singh, for joining us. It's been an
Thank you.
interesting discussion in very interesting times. We're taking a short break, but coming up, India and